Hi, I'm Alan Hedblum. Welcome to our show, a place to feel like you belong. Our guest today is a survivor with a vision. As a child, Metta Anongdeth fled her native Laos with her parents and siblings. They lived a harsh life in a refugee camp in Thailand before being resettled in the United States. Today, this active mom spends her days helping out at her kids' school, selling health and beauty products, and inspiring other refugee women to take control of their lives. Metta, welcome to Feel Like You Belong.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Alan.
You bet.
I'm so happy to be here today.
Super. So your days in Laos were a little bit scary, and your family made a decision to leave there. Can you talk about that?
Yes. When I was about 7 years old, my dad and my mom, because of the political and economic hardships, mainly it's political issue, my parent wanted a better opportunity for us. So they decided to take us and leave the country, escape from Laos to Thailand, to come to America or European countries to seek a better life for us.
Now that was not easy, getting out of Laos.
No, getting out of Laos was not easy, obviously, because the government would not want us to leave the country because it's illegal to, escape or leave your country. So my parent had paid lump sum of money to leave Laos to come to Thailand, and it was hard because if you were caught to leave the country, you will be jailed or worse, executed, or killed.
Sure. And you have a particular memory of one day your grandmother came to you and she was crying. Can you tell us that story?
Yes, it's a little emotional because I was 7 years old, so I kind of remember quite a bit. I have a good memory. We were raised by my grandma and my grandpa, my aunt, quite a bit because my mom and my dad would work a lot. So my grandma came to us and said, took us to take a bath and dress us because my dad's gonna come and take us and go and leave to the city that's in the border of Thailand, Laos and Thailand. So she dressed us, and I can see she's crying, but I couldn't understand why she was. I kind of knew something was up. I kind of overheard my parents talking that they wanted to leave the country because my dad doesn't want to leave and my mom wanted to come to the United States, and my dad was thinking with these many kids. At that time, my parents had 4 children, and my mom was pregnant, 8th month pregnant with with their 4th children. Was it fifth children? My brother Amit. So my grandma came into our room and dressed us and combed my hair, and she's in tears and she was crying, and I knew something was up. I was scared to leave home and never see her again. And also was scared of the unknown. But, you were just told not to say anything. And you knew, even at that age, I knew that if I were to say something, I don't want to go, it would cause some kind of disturbance or cause some kind of, people to notice that we were going to leave to go to Thailand. So.
Sure. And your family took a risk because they weren't well connected. And so to try to get across the border, they were really in the hands of some border guards who might not have been so kind.
Correct. Because we were not well connected, so whatever we have, we paid as much as we could. My parents paid almost everything they have. The money, any money they have saved up, obviously they probably had this in their head and planned it to come. So they have to save up money to escape and pay the people along the way to cross the Mekong River. So that's reason why some people may not be fortunate and have to pay quite a bit of their money to leave.
Sure, sure. And when you finally escaped and crossed over the river into Thailand, on the one hand, it's a relief, okay, were out of Laos, but life in the refugee camp was not very nice.
No, life was very hard because when you first, made it into to Thailand border, you never know whether they're gonna send you back or accept you and say, hey, now that you're here, you're a refugee, you're escaping your country because your country in political turmoil. You don't know because they can, the guard, you might not be so lucky to get whoever working that day. You might get someone who like, okay, let them through, or someone say, no, you're going back. So we were lucky that day, and when we got to Thailand, they pretty much took us and say, you gotta go through the camp, you gotta do all this thing because that's part of the being refugee in this country. So when we got there, we were put in jail for a week, and then we were released from there and got into the main big camp. And the camp was just like, like any other refugee camp. There were food issues, shelter problem, water was a big issue. So you have family live in a corridor, a small like a warehouse. They kind of jam you in there. There's no bathroom, so all those deals. So no food, and you were kept in a surrounded fenced camp. So you can't really leave to go buy food or anything. So you get what they gave to you. So it was hard for my parent and hard for all of us, especially the small children, because we don't know. And
your mom was really concerned about your safety.
Yes, my mom was very concerned. My dad and my mom were very concerned with my sister and I because we are young girls. My sister, my older sister, Bupa, she was, she's 3 years older than me. I was 7, so she's 10. So she's 10, and my mom would cut her hair short and our hair short and dress us like a boy because they would take girls and sell them.
Sure.
And to wherever. So my mom would dress us like a boy, so that's to kind of like, they're a boy, young boy, little kids, so they're not too attractive, would make my sister and I not too attractive.
To make you victims.
Yeah, so that way they don't want to take us. And we heard and have seen older girls who are 12, 13, 11, who are pretty girls, just girls, have hair and pigtail and stuff, and were taken away from their parents, and they never seen again. We have parents, personally, I know a lady here where, a family here where they never see their daughters, they never hear of their daughters. And my close friend, she never knew where her sisters are. 2 of her sisters was missing from when they were landed in Thailand, and they took them and never seen. So my mom have heard of that, and so my mom kind of disguised us into these ugly ducklings, ugly kids, so they don't try to take us and try to make money off us. So.
And truly, the biggest heartbreak for a parent is the losing or worrying or the safety of one's own child, and so truly unspeakable for so many, and not just your family, but thousands and thousands of people across. Sure. So you finally made it after you were there 2 years, 3 years?
2 years.
Okay, in the refugee camp, and finally the word came, you're coming to the United States.
Yes. We get to Philippines first. We get to stay in Philippines to kind of teach the language of English or kind of learn the simple hello, hi, simple etiquettes. You say how are you say thank you. They give us a video to watch, a movie to watch. It's a little intro to Western culture. Because there's some people who go to different countries. They go to France and Canada and stuff like that. So you get to pick what country you want to go, and then you just wait in line to see you have sponsor from United States or Canada or France or Switzerland or wherever.
And you got sponsored in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Yes, my parents picked United States, and they pick a lot of people pick. And then you just say, I want to go to the United States. And my dad, they asked, what state would you like to go? He's like, any state, they would take us. And a very nice church in Hershey, Pennsylvania, it sponsors us because my parents have lots of kids. And when you have more kids, it's harder.
Sure. It's more difficult for the people to sponsor.
Yes, and then we got sponsored to go to Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And we took, I want to come back to this in just a moment, but since then you have used your own personal history and understanding of the difficulty of being a refugee to work with other immigrants and refugees in the United States. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
I understand, like when you get here, I was young, so learning English wasn't so hard for me. But learning, because seeing what my parent went through and my parents' friend went through, and go into a workforce or navigate through the market or housing, education. My parent was in the mid-30 when he came here, so my dad had to go into workforce right away. It was hard for him. He's a carpenter, but he couldn't get that job because the English was the barrier, the language. So he just do the bottom up, until they recognize his quality, his skill. And my mom went back to school, and it was hard for her because she's very good seamstress lady. She know how to all my clothes, done by my mom. But she has to learn the language and stuff like that. And us, didn't understand, just to play with American kids, we didn't understand the game, like baseball, kickball, and stuff like that, or skateboarding and stuff. We we don't know the game because our game is different from their game.
Sure.
So that was kind of, to fit in the society or the culture was hard for us. So I want to be, so I know how that was, because I'm the kind of person, if it's hard for me, and it has to be hard for somebody else too if they were in a similar situation as I was. So I kind of like to reach out my hand, or just kind of like rub shoulder, or like, hey, be that friend for the day, or kind of like point them and show them, why not, so they don't have to struggle.
And by extension, you're now working with a company called It Works.
Yes, I do.
And so I want you to tell us just a little bit about that work and how you're actually starting to work with bringing other Southeastern Asian women into work with you.
Yes, I'm very excited to work with It Works Global. It's right here, based right in here in Grand Rapids. It's found right here in Grand Rapids, and it's health and health and beauty products that they sell. And what I do, I'm an independent distributor, and so I earn my income that way. So I sell and stuff like that. And so what I do is, when I come across, so when I meet a lot of young mom out here in West Michigan, or in other side of the state, I kind of tell them what they could do. A lot of time they don't speak the language, but they have friends who use the products. They go to church, they go to temple, they go to school with their kids, and they know friends. So I said, you can do this, So they want them to start earning their own money, networking, use this as a tool to learn the language, use this as a tool to go out of their comfort zone and kind of mix and mingle with people. And because beauty and health does not have language barriers, so if you say you like something and you share with people, and you can make friends, and you can learn the language that way, and earn the money and help your husband and gain confidence.
Sure. And especially for a lot of women from Southeast Asia who aren't used to this model of independent women.
Correct.
And maybe have some tighter controls at home with their Asian male partners. This is really an opportunity for them to get out and have some personal growth and really empowerment.
Yes, yes. I can see that. I kind of want them to know that if this is a tool for them to kind of branch out and empower themselves, so they don't feel like they are relying on their partner or their husband to take care of them. So I came across a lot of young women or mom that need help or not knowing, because they are they're relying on their spouse for income or just the knowledge to go out there looking for work or to live in this country. So when they find me as a friend or as business partner or someone who can help them, they enjoyed it, and that's kind of what take them to branch out. And for me, not only whether they're gonna stick with this company or not, it doesn't really matter to me. At least I kind of get them out from the shelf and let them know that you have a power to control your life. You can start earning money doing this, or go out there and get a job, something else that you can do it, instead of sitting at home and not knowing, I'm waiting for my husband or my boyfriend or my spouse to help me.
Just the first small step towards encouragement and becoming their own person. Sure. We're going to need to wrap up in just a moment, but as you know, the theme of our program is belonging. And you talked earlier when we spoke of a touching story about how you found that sense of belonging in Hershey, Pennsylvania, with some, I think, pickle farmers?
Yes.
Can you share
Yes.
that story?
When we first came to United States, it was just kind of like the first day. They picked us up from airport. We got to the our house. They picked like a place for us to. It's like a townhouse.
Okay.
And we didn't know anyone, obviously. And I look outside, and my sister and I went up to the window, run around the house, up and down the two-story, and we didn't see anybody. Like in Asia, people are always outside, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, am I like this? There's nobody outside. There's no kids, and then we saw an older gentleman, and his grandson or daughter. I remember a little person with him, and they came with cantaloupes and corns and potatoes and carrots and different vegetables, and he came, and he's old American man, and this condo, this townhouse was close to a corn farm, and he came, and I think he walked to our place. I don't think his house too far away, and he came and gave us some food, and we just, wow, who is this old man? And he didn't say much. We didn't stand English, and he didn't stand Laotian, but he gave it to us and kind of like nodded his head, and he must have said like, welcome, and and here's some food, enjoy. And simple as that, and make me feel kind of warm, and make me kind of feel like, hey, they're not different from us, they're the same people, and that's kind of sense of like, yeah, I can get used to this. I think we'll be just okay. We'll be just fine here. So.
And sometimes I think we underestimate the power of just one small act of kindness, but for your family, it just, I think it gave the message that, yeah, maybe this place is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Metta, it's been a real delight talking with
Thank
you
you.
today. The time has flown by, but
Yes.
I really want to thank you for coming and sharing your story. It's really powerful, and I think one that needs to be heard.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so happy and to share my story.
You bet. Awesome. And for folks back home, stay tuned, because we'll be coming back in just a moment with stories about American slang, American culture, and a little American humor. In a recent report, the Wall Street Journal cited some shocking statistics about Americans who steal merchandise from stores. People in the U.S. shoplift 1.6 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars worth of goods every year. The interesting name that the reporter gave this theft was sticky fingers. Now, this is an idiom which means theft or the tendency to steal. I like using colorful idioms because they often paint a picture of what the meaning is. So in this case, the item to be stolen will automatically stick to the person's hand, and then he or she will hide it in his or her coat or pocket or purse. So what are sticky-fingered Americans stealing? The top 5 are, in order, wine or spirits, makeup, jewelry, swimwear, sunglasses. Now this makes sense because these items are all small and easily hidden on a person. Just remember, the next time you hear someone talking about sticky fingers, it may not be because they need a napkin. They could be doing something unlawful. A woman goes to see the psychiatrist. "Doctor, my brother thinks he's a chicken." "Oh my goodness," says the psychiatrist. "How long has he thought he was a chicken?" "Oh, about 2 years now," says the woman. "What? Your brother's thought he was a chicken for 2 years, and you're only coming to see me now?" "Well," the woman shrugged, "we needed the eggs."